Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we're more or less done with the North for now, and thus we get our just deserts. Once again, primarily focused on working out those guns. No luck just yet, but we have at least taken a powder. So, you know, we'll have ammo once we've got something to actually load it into. That said, first things first, a test of grit for the rookies. A quick side job to keep the company cash solvent. Though, we're certainly not hurting on cash, as you may note from our current gold stash. We're doing okay. Oh, and of course it's another necromancer. Why wouldn't it be? I feel like we've run into more necromancers out here than we have actual nomads. At least when it comes to these particular contracts. Alright, where you at? No sign on north. Check the other side, Zarmal called. Bowman nodded, carefully picking his way through the detritus of the camp-turned-charnel house. Confirmed on south, just behind that stack of crates. On it, Drakiith growled, striding forward, Kopesh cutting through the air as he lithely limbered up. A lot of undead around these days, Alois observed. You'd really think the nobles would be more concerned with that than with each other. Ah, you know nobles, Rassel shrugged. Any excuse for a power play. Whole damn world could be ending, and they'd still be trying to find some way to turn it to their advantage. A few of the others nodded as they took up their positions. As they once again braced for an oncoming horde. Interesting. I guess the necromancer feels pretty secure behind those containers. Normally, he keeps at least one bodyguard handy, which could work to our advantage if we can punch our way through. Though it would, granted, be a mite bit easier if we had the flails on hand for this. Racks and Drax are good for decaps, but the spears and bolts and arrows are all just temporary takedowns. Cetrus drops the first undead, clearing a path for Rax. The rest of the gangers seem blissfully ignorant, at least for the time being. Spoke too soon. Two do indeed move to block the annoyed axemen. Zarmal cuts one down on the north. And the one hammered down by Cetrus rises once more. Not to be deterred, Bowman steps to one side. An arrow arcs, plunging through the pugnacious prestidigitator's palm. Drak tops off a toppling torso. The rest of the raiders follow suit, doing their best to wade through the wall of relentless Wiedergangers. Cetra smashes a mauler, only for two more to rise in its place. Berlin promptly puts one back down. Mal mutilates another, only for a mauler to move up in its place. Rax heads off another foe. And Bowman brings down the black-clad caster. The rest of the Restless Dead fight on, but now perhaps with less focused intent. Easy prey for even the most inexperienced of raiders, as evidenced by Diego running one through. No offense to Diego, of course. Dude's got the highest defense in the company, I think. He just also has the lowest melee. Verlin puts one down as well. Mal shows no mercy, but grants the next best thing. Zarmal culls another. Rax repositions. But Drak cuts his target short. Oh, you can attack over these chests. That's good to know. I'm used to the game just treating all obstacles the same. Normally, you can't attack through them. Mal dismembers the third to last. And Zarmal just goes to town. Two more drop, one of them freshly re-risen. And Mark takes aim. A twang of the crossbow, a thunk of the bolt. And the camp finally falls still. With 2 level ups to show for it, lovely. I think that actually pushes Arrow up to soft cap. Obviously not much in the way of loot, but we'll take that with a grain of salt. I will say there is some temptation to pierce the fogs once more, but we don't have the time nor the resources for it at this particular moment. Besides, it's certainly not going anywhere. Plenty of time later. Assuming, of course, we end up doing a second crisis cycle. Though that will be ultimately up to the raiders and rank-and-file viewers. Honestly not sure how much longer the current cycle will go. 6, maybe 10 more episodes. Hence, staying focused on getting those guns online. And what the heck, let's go ahead and toss that Fire Lance over to Arrow, why not? And might as well hit the arena while we're here. The master of the arena meets you at the gate, holding up a scroll. It's not a fig tree, it's a spider. The alchemists, bless their learned hearts, call them webnecks, which is a silly northern name. In truth, they're spiders. Unfortunately for you, a boot will not be sufficient this time round. For 6 of them. Easy prey. Though the poison can be problematic, so we'll parcel out the collars appropriately. Rax's armor can block the first few bites. Random, of course, is immune to poison. And King's Rook. He's got that bone plate that'll auto-block the first attempt to poison. Also, they're all characters who could benefit from more morale, so, you know. The raiders readied, shifting restlessly against the shifting sands. As near on 50 eyes glittered with avarice, legs churning, bloated abdomens propelled towards them, fangs dripping with something foul. They swarmed around the trio, Rax striking first. To no avail. The 1-2 crunch of random flailing. A beast bursts asunder. Another impaled by a pointed gesture. Listing to one side, but still lunging in. Rax shouts as he's festooned. Fangs tearing through armor. Poison finding his veins. He expresses desire, nearly bisecting a beast. But not quite getting it done. Rook thrusts past him, half measures made whole, then cuts the ties that bind. And random leapfrogs through, lashing at limbs with the snap, crackle, pop of dislocation. Rax carves into another. Again, not quite an even split. Random mashing another beside. And the fight's pretty much over. But that was a foregone conclusion. The second spiders scuttled in. You face the raiders, you get the raid. And there we go. Quick and easy work. All right, one sec. Let me just mess with the markets real quick, then we'll head for Rasanon. Be right back. And we're back. Load lightened and level ups queued, which I actually forgot about, so let's run through those real quick. Zarmal hits 8, and since we are syncing him back up with Trip, that means recover. Which is actually what Arrow's getting too, since he has indeed hit soft cap. So he needs recover to pair off with Berserk. As for stats, we'll take the range, we'll take the initiative. And given that this is our last full level up for him, we'll go ahead and grab that +4 RDEF. And Zarmal. We have to do Zarmal stats. We'll take the melee, we'll take the MDEF, and we'll take the initiative. Honestly, not sure we even need that much, but it does seem a shame to skip the +5. And with that out of the way, we push on to Rasanan. Though I think we will clear up this one last bit of fog here. Yeah, and then cut across the canal. We actually saw a base there once or twice, so perhaps it's reset since last time we passed through. Alas, no base. But that's fine, we'll just stick to our guns. Hey, and look at that. We were playing it pretty fast and loose with this continuity, but now we are officially canon. Of course, no point in rushing into the purchase, not until we've knocked the price down. Could save ourselves a few hundred gold. But at least we've got eyes on one. That's a start. Even if it does seem like we might have to circle all the way around back to Karakin to get another. Nothing else really jumping out at me. Not that we'd want to buy before clearing that condition anyway. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. There are no horns, no confetti, no cheers. But there's still yet a certain level of pomp when you enter Aishan al-Abbas of Rasanan's room. It is so decorated with golds and silvers, intricate jewelries made by genuine craftsmen, and a harem of nothing but the most attractive women, that one can't help but be spurred to do whatever is asked, if only to have a chance to partake in the seemingly day-to-day festivities. Aishan al-Abbas sits upon a pile of cushions. Ah, Crownling, I've been expecting you. Please come no closer, you will scare my attractions. I have a simple task for you. Nomads have been plundering my caravans. Hereat I am with fewer coins in my coffers. I'm sure you understand what it is like to be deprived of in any manner, yes? You seem so dumb, so blank, so, well, involved with what you do. I need those nomads killed, and I'm willing to pay crowns to have it done. Does this language please whatever resides between those ears? Sure, why not? Turns out I'm pretty good at killing, and coins are good incentive. Though I will stress, Al, that it is not the only reason I kill. I'll see you soon. Nomad huts, bit of a ways northeast. Pays pretty low, so should be a nice straightforward fight. Nomad outlaws, slightly tougher targets, no range support. Don't want to go full rookies, these guys are still slightly dangerous, but we'll do a mix. Trip. No. These guys have dodge, makes them less than ideal for armor harvesting. Their eyes set on a particularly pricey purchase, the raiders soon found themselves embarked upon yet another detour. Another nest of nomads in need of annihilation at behest of the local lord. A simple task, to be sure. The raiders anticipated no significant trouble, striding into camp, the setting sun at their backs. And cowed by their confidence, the nervous nomads rose to meet them. The first to his feet was promptly pincushioned, an arrow buried deep in his chest. The rest of the nomads were nonplussed, but charged in nonetheless. Random flailed a fellow on the south, sending him staggering, helm notably dented. And Rook followed through, pike piercing the half-crushed helm and into brain beneath. The rest of the raiders rallied, pushing forward to form a line. The clash of blades, the twang of bows. Injuries exchanged, but mostly shallow. And Rack stepped in, a mace-wielding miscreant quavering at his approach. Rev stepped in as well, a swift swing, sweeping a scoundrel at the knees. Sarmal pounced upon the hobbled prey. A flurry of strikes, sternum turned to blood-soaked sponge. Rack sweeps the nervous nomad from his path, scattering him to the sands. Wow, that Pullman is surprisingly projectile-proof. His associate less so. Beaten senseless by Annie, the other Pullman is easily reaved by Rev. Berlin runs a runner through. Wow. Rax cracks the whippersnapper. Hey, and there we go. Luck finally running thin. The final nomad finds himself riddled with bolts. But it's Diego who does him in. Which nets us a level up for Drak. Unexpected, but certainly welcome. And as for loot, yeah, nothing all that notable. But we'll certainly take it. It's all going towards that new gun. And as for Drak, level 10, gosh. A lot of options, but for the sake of simplicity, let's more or less mesh up with Annie's build. So I guess that would be Underdog, which, honestly, not a bad choice, especially for someone with middling defense. Speaking of which, still flubbing those defense rolls, but that's fine. We'll take the RDef instead. And then that +5 initiative, why not? Now I just need to tag a few things for repair. Eke out a few extra coins once we get back. Okay, let's go grab our gold. And our gun. And then we've got time left on the clock, so hopefully a nice field test to cap things off. It's been a long time coming. Hopefully it pays off. You're intercepted upon return. Funds dispersed and promptly dispersed. That's fine, though. You got what you came for. And then, you get what you came for. Which is definitely cheaper than it was before. I want to say to the tune of about 200 gold? 250? I'd have to double check that, but either way, all adds up. And at the end of the day, we're still up in arms. We'll toss it to Mark for now since he's got night vision, but we'll pass it back and forth as need be, at least until we get our second. I am thinking long term though. We'll give both bombardiers bags and belts. That way they can pack some other options. Sling staff or possibly a fire lance. Or just extra shot. Though that'll be less a concern if we can actually get some large bags online. But that requires hyena pelts and serpent scales, or snakeskin rather, both of which are in short supply. Alright, one sec. Let me just take care of some quick bookkeeping, then we'll shoot for one more. And we're back, restocked and ready to go. Let's check that contract. Ah, caravan. To Hikma. Well, I was planning on heading north. Towards, the contested corridor. But we could go for Hikma instead. I mean, if their market's already reset, we could be double-barreling it by the end of the episode. And I suppose even if it hasn't, we can just head straight west from there to Karakin. Oh, and final retinue slot unlocked. Nice. Let's see what we've got unlocked. Alchemist. Slight chance to save components when crafting. Unlocked snake oil, which is essentially a manufactured treasure item. Not a bad choice, but we're not really hurting on gold. Cartographer. Don't really need him right now. Not mid-crisis. Lookout? I mean, extra sight radius, better footprint info. Handy, but if we were going that route, I feel like we're better off taking the scout instead. Not just because he improves your movement speed, which is already pretty fantastic, but also because he disables a number of negative events, which otherwise clutter up your potential event pool. Negotiator's of dubious use depending on how much longer we're running this campaign. If we're just doing the Noble War, then no. If we're doing another cycle after that, then maybe. Quartermaster boosts your resource caps. Nice, but not really necessary. Recruiter was the plan, but that was contingent on actually suffering casualties, which, for the most part, we've managed to avoid. So I guess for now, also unneeded. Scavenger is actually useful, I feel weird taking it. Same reason I don't do doggo spamming. Surgeon's nice, but as we've seen, permanent injuries can still be a career ender. Not to mention, of course, I've got a whole ass waiting list here of, like, 80 more people waiting to come in off the bench. I don't want people to die, but, you know, at the same time, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And Trader. Which is pretty simple, it just increases the number of trade goods available in towns. Though that is not really our focus these days. So I think we are going to go with the Scout, since that is, in fact, ideal for a series like this. Faster travel plus more interesting events. Sounds good to me. Which, sadly, does mean that, at least for now, we are more or less done with this screen. We've maxed out our wagon, we've filled out our retinue. Though we could theoretically fire someone if we wanted to free up a slot for someone else. I'm just not sure I really see us doing that. Drill Sergeant, maybe, once most of our guys have hit soft cap. Though even then, he does still serve a purpose. He prevents morale loss from being benched. Otherwise, your guys get uppity every time they're not out in the field. And we're good. The road to Hikma is a quiet one. You collect your pay and hit up the shops. Well supplied, and we have a new two-skull. Husan ibn Hazam, the Vizier of Trade, is found surrounded by a harem of half-naked women. He is holding up a severed hand, which, surprisingly, the women seem more fascinated with than disgusted. As he sees you, the Vizier drops the appendage and wipes his hand on the shoulder of one of the women, this time garnering a fair bit of disdain, albeit slavenly muted. Husan snaps his fingers at a servant, who rushes over with a jar of wine. The Vizier sighs and shoos the servant away, and snaps his fingers once more. A second servant realizes he's been called, and comes forward, hurriedly handing you a scroll and speaks its words aloud. Monsters have been spotted near Hikma, and they are to be destroyed post-haste. The reward for this is not spoken quite so loudly. Instead, the servant taps the page where a number has been written. Over 1,000 crowns. And of course, we'll take the contract. As I said back in Ras Sanan, we are in dire need of both hyena pelts and snakeskins, and I believe this job pretty much guarantees either one or the other. I think it is just the two, this far south. Either snakes or hyenas, both of which would be welcome. And look at that. Second handgun acquired. Which means we do need to take a powder or two. And we are good to go, my friends. We've now officially brought in the big guns. And just in time for a terror mission, too. That's pretty much perfect. Which I suppose means we can offload our spare crossbow. We'll keep one for potential trainees, but otherwise not much point in wasting inventory space on them. Famed polehammer. Don't really have another hammerer set up, so I think we'll pass. Sword lance, though. Sword lance is a maybe. I've never really used those much. It used to be you could only get them from honor guards. We will put a pin in that pending research. I need to read up on that before I burn 2,000 gold. $15 hyenas. Lovely. I mean, I would have been happy with snakes too, but honestly, I'm just happy. I'm happy either way. Guns are online. Let's make sure our front line's ready for this sort of furry fury. Just gotta make sure we cover our backs. These guys love to flank. Also, Trip. Trip needs some time in the field. Sorry, Drak. Alright, let's go toss these guys under the blunderbuss. You sure about those things? Arrow asked, eyeing the metal tubes flanking him on either side with open skepticism. Locals swear by them, Alois shrugged. Besides, the fire pots seem to work well enough. Yeah, I guess, Arrow nodded, eyeing his new spear as well. All the same, I think I'll stick with my bow, thanks. Heads up, raiders, Rook intoned. We've got incoming. Man, look at that. The RNG has been kind to us today, not just with 2 guns, but with immediate perches to shoot them from. Guns, for those who haven't played Battle Brothers, guns are essentially a 3 hex wide AoE with a 1 space gap between the firer and where the AoE is placed. Normally very limiting, essentially firing from the back line straight through a single row front line with no one stepping further forward, lest they end up becoming friendly fire. But if you have elevation like this, it increases that range to 2 spaces, which then gives you much more with where you can place those AoEs. As the cackling curs continued to flank, Bowman popped off another quick shot. Arrow buried deep in a hyena's side. The creature stumbled, thrown off stride, planting face first in the sand. The rest of the raiders held steady, ready to ward the beasts away from their more fragile back line. And incensed, the pack rushed in, eschewing caution in favor of raw, bestial bloodlust. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is almost perfect. Random meets the first with a flail to the face. A sharp crack of bone sending it reeling. Annie carefully steps forward. A staccato series of strikes, likewise echoed by the crack of bones. Rev bloodies another beast on the north. Trip finishes the wounded one before him. Diego covers the corner. And Alois takes aim. A crack and boom! A cloud of shrapnel meets crimson mist and kicked up sand in equal measure. Bewildered bays swiftly drowned out by a second thunderous report. And just like that, the pack is split right down the middle. Brute still standing, but burned and bloodied. Annie makes short work of the first that tries to flee. Zarmal darting in, quickly dropping a second. Arrow pin cushions a third. Trip felling the fourth on north. And the raiders wade in, mopping up the bloody pieces. My goodness, I almost feel bad for these guys. But, you know, we need the parts, and they were trying to eat us, so I think I'll live. Though I will say this does now somewhat highlight the main downside to these new guns. Well, sort of. I mean, normally you wouldn't have the advantage of these perfectly placed gunner platforms. Under normal circumstances, we'd be at ground level, and thus have a much harder time perfectly placing these templates, since, as you can now see, firing and reloading is a full round action. You're essentially immobilized as long as you want to keep pumping out shots. The other downside being, of course, that the handguns are less effective against heavily armored targets. Though, Overwhelm still comes in handy there. And even doubling up on ammo, as we have. You're limited to just 10 shots, which you'll burn through pretty quickly during any extended engagement. Which is why I want to get those large ammo bags put together. I think that bumps it up to 7/14 for 2. And even then, you know, still a good idea to have a backup weapon. Probably slings, since that avoids the issue of needing a second ammo type. Though then, of course, if you want to keep poison on hand, you start running shy on slots. Unless, of course, you take bags and belts. Which, in retrospect, I am actually now starting to wish I had taken as our very first pick when we got Mark and Alois started. That would make it easier to decide what to do with our last 4. Ah, well, a lesson for future retcon. Still worked out pretty well, at least against softer targets. Sadly, no level ups, but... oh, look at that. 6 pelts. Sufficient for 2 mantles, 1 for each gunner. A moment spent inexplicably demeaning the already dead doggos. Come on, Rhett, you're better than that. And off we go, back to Hikmah. Which I think will be a good place to call it. Husan, the Vizier of Trade, stands at his door, though you are kept at a good distance. His servants instead are the ones to greet you. They take the hyena scalps and loft them into silvered wheelbarrows. The servants scamper the goods back across the yard and disappear just as soon as they came. The Vizier whistles like a hawk, bearing down on its prey. You twitch for a second, but all that comes is another pair of servants, carrying a trove of crowns. One looks to the sky as he recites. Crownling, this job you have done well. See to the chest, and you will find your purse swell. The servant clicks his tongue and looks down, grinning wildly. I like that guy. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, clear up some inventory space. Though at this point we are in dire need of a taxidermist, so yeah, we'll might try our luck with the noble houses along that stretch of road, since I do notice we apparently haven't visited any of them, so we don't actually know what's inside. But yeah, if that doesn't work, we'll have to head for Karakin anyway, since I do know that has one. Oh, and also, if you have any suggestions as to what we should do with our final 4 perk slots on our gunners, feel free to let me know. I mean, Fearsome's probably a given. I just kind of like that one too much to skip it. It already hurt doing it with our throwers. But I'd say the other 3 slots are all fair game. And I will see you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.